Well, I thought I'd put a little video together about let's call it an adventure. I'm not going to call it a nightmare, but I spent a month in Coos Bay last weekend. We had trouble with the old country coach. So if you've got one of these and you don't know the condition or the age of the airbags, the suspension airbags, definitely I would recommend you find out and get them replaced. We had an airbag blow on the tag axle. It was the right rear, and it was the one that basically pushes the axle to the ground or holds the rig up, however you want to put it. And this thing's pretty much wounded. You can't drive far when you have a blown airbag. And there weren't a lot of options. Actually, as we drove out of the campground, we kind of confirmed the problem. And I pulled off and stayed at a beautiful RV campground in Winchester Bay. Winchester Bay RV Resort, I believe. Absolutely gorgeous weather. I really tried to make the best of it, but I was very stressed out, worried about what I was going to do to get this thing fixed. Nice. Nice. Anyway, was able to go back to Coos Bay. I made a bunch of calls. And went to Gold Coast Truck Repair. On Highway 101. They were a busy truck repair shop. But Lee there was kind enough to take this thing in. He heard my story and went to work on it. We had some issues with the troubleshooting. So day one was Monday, and they spent about 5 hours on it, kind of going down the wrong road. And towards the end of the day, realized and confirmed that it was in fact a blown airbag. So well, it's a bustling morning here in Coos Bay, Oregon. Another beautiful day on the Oregon coast. Maybe not so beautiful for the old country coach. Still stuck here trying to get the airbag repair. Took quite a while yesterday in diagnosis mode, and then I kind of got involved and hit the tag lower switch, and lo and behold, the fact that a blown airbag, which is what I came in for, what I described a number of times, was found. So now we're gonna try to find parts. It's gonna be great. Tuesday had me finding the part, which was in Eugene, renting a car, getting an Uber to the Coos Bay airport, and driving fast to Eugene and back to Oregon Motor Coach, who had the airbag. And so picked that up, turned around, jetted back to the coast, and got the airbag back to Lee and the crew there at Gold Coast Truck Repair, and they got it installed. And basically got the thing set up. I headed back to the airport and could not get a ride from the airport back to the truck repair place. And safe to say, I was really stressed out, and I was kind of done being in Coos Bay. And a really nice gentleman, Roger Craddock, he is the director at the airport there in Coos Bay. I think he was one of the last people to leave. It was an airport that was totally vacant, and I was scrambling. I only have Uber on my phone, and there was a taxi service also in Coos Bay. They were both clogged up, full, too busy, whatever. I could not get a ride. Roger saw me sitting there, stopped by, struck a conversation, and he gave me a ride back to Gold Coast Truck Repair. Saved the day. because they close at 5 and the clock was ticking. And boy, it would have been bad if I had to spend another night in their parking lot there. So anyway, they got me fixed up. Definitely going to, now that I got the thing home safe, which was a huge victory, I'm going to go ahead and get some more help from my buddy Dan Powell, who was a huge help while I was down there. I was texting with him constantly. He is a truck expert. He has got a couple of trucks himself, and he has worked on trucks. He has worked for trucking repair companies, and so Dan was a huge help. He's going to come down. We're going to replace the airbag on the other side and probably inspect all the other airbags. So this thing's 20 years old. And so if you've got an older country coach and it rides on airbags, boy, I can't urge you enough to check them out, inspect them, know the age of them, and get them replaced if you can. I made a lot of phone calls throughout this whole ordeal and talked to Premier and a number of other folks. Specifically, when I spoke with Premier, they indicated they are seeing a lot more airbag failures. What he told me was they used to see them once about every 3 months, and now they're seeing them about once a week. And so I had seen the horror stories. I'd read about them on Facebook. I knew it was a possibility, and I should have dug in sooner and avoided this. So country coach airbag issue. After the fix, it drove home like a dream. Hey, real quick segment here. Wanted to mention just the network of, I think, country coach owners, pretty strong. There's some Facebook groups, and you see a lot of commentary on there. Actually, as we were going to try to head out of town, at this point, we were headed north. We pulled out of the campground. This is Sunday morning, and we're heading to the dump station there in Winchester Bay. They have a very nice station all set up by the boat launch. Met a guy named Patrick Reinierson and his wife. Ontario, Oregon, I believe is where they're out of. Pulled up, there's one other rig at the dump station. It's a 2-lane dump station. The other rig, a country coach Allure. It looked a lot like this one. Anyway, pulled up, hooked things up, started doing the deed. And here comes Patrick, introduced himself and his wife. Had his dogs there with him, great dogs. And I let him know, I was kind of, we were both kind of surprised, right? We were standing there looking at pretty similar looking rigs, and started talking, and I shared with him that I just discovered that I'd blown an airbag. And boy, he went out of his way. He grabbed flashlight, crawled under the thing, wanted to try to help. We ended up, finishing up there. We pulled off. There was a space to pull off both rigs, and he got out. We crawled all over the thing trying to see what we could find. Very hard to get under these things. They sit pretty low, and had a lot of good conversation with him. He gave me some good advice. He was one of the many folks who suggested do not drive it, and went out of his way, offered up. He had just left a campsite that he had booked for another night, offered up the campsite to let me park there for the night. So, for free, I could have had a place to park. It happened to be dry camping on gravel, and so I elected not to do it. But it was really nice to meet Patrick. We exchanged information, stayed in touch. He had actually put a dinette in his country coach, which is something that we wanted to do, and emailed me information on the dinette, kept checking back with me to see where we were at, to see if there's anything he could do. He was headed to Eugene and had a site there, offered up that site as well. Just bent over backwards to try to help. Super nice guy. Great to meet him and his wife. But it really speaks to the network. They haven't made these rigs. Country Coach went out of business around 2009. And some say these are some of the finest RVs on the road. We had done a lot of research to find this one. And despite the issue we had this last weekend, trust me, I thought about selling it a few times over the weekend. But the network of folks that own these things and run them across the U.S. Is really strong, and everybody tries to help each other. It's a real active network. People share the problems they have, the fixes they have, suggestions, and it's a really good, I mean, I've been around the Facebook groups and message boards and other things for a long time for cars, and it's good and bad, right? There's a lot of folks that just like to make trouble, but the Country Coach forums seem really solid, really helpful. And boy, this was a great example. It was fun meeting you, Patrick. Good looking rig, and hope to see you again, maybe on the dunes, better circumstances. Thanks again. Anyway, yeah, adventures in RVing. Thanks for watching, folks. See ya.